In your lifetime, how many times have you consumed psychedelics?
How many times?
This is a hard one to estimate, but I'm going to guess.
Probably somewhere in the ballpark.
I'd probably take him.
I've always wondered how much psychedelic experts have taken in their life. So today, I'm at one of the most psychedelic conferences in the world where old school pioneers of the psychedelic movement are speaking. So how much have these psychedelic experts taken and how has it impacted their life? Well, I'm here to ask them myself. All right, we are here with...
Lana Rados.
What would you say is your most transformational experience you've had on a psychedelic medicine?
That was a night on Yahe ayahuasca, Colombian ayahuasca. It was literally being in hell and being stuck there forever and feeling tormented and tortured by all the dark entities and totally powerless. How I emerged out of that was through a shamanic awakening. I'm grateful for it now because it's led me to where I am now.
Amazing. And final fun question, how many times have you partaken in a psychedelic medicine?
I journey with medicines only when I feel cold, probably somewhere in the ballpark of, let's say, 20.
Got it.
Personal full journeys.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Awesome. Why don't you tell me just a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, hi. I'm Nada. Nada is a name I received in a mystical experience recently. I came here as a Syrian refugee, in 2016. It was part of my spiritual journey, actually.
Yeah. So the question is, what is your single most transformational experience that you've ever had on psychedelics?
Cannabis works for me as psychedelic. Just recently, this experience, when I was just in that deep state, inner state, when I started to really feel some sensations in my body and I was receiving like each letter, like nada. My energy, I feel I'm starting my life just recently, like I'm born again. Nada in Arabic, it means morning dew, and this is the freshness of the morning dew that comes to mind.
So awesome.
Yeah.
So cool. So overall, over your entire life, how many times have you consumed a psychedelic?
How many times? If we count cannabis as psychedelic, over 50. Yeah,
over 50?
Maybe less than 100. Yeah.
Cool. Well, thank you so much, Nada.
Thank you so much.
We are here with Felix. Tell me a little bit about yourself.
I'm a shamanic practitioner. I'm heavily involved ceremonial work, healing work.
What was your most transformational experience on a psychedelic, and what was that change like?
It would be the first ayahuasca ceremony I attended. The goal was to save my relationship with my wife. The very first thing that happened, the trees that were lined up, they turned into my concept of what a shaman looked like. And each shaman had draped over his arm ayahuasca vine. And then the shaman were taking the ayahuasca vine and throwing it over the earth. The message was ayahuasca, they wanted the medicine to go all over the planet. It's cliche, but I felt it was a calling to share the medicine with others. My wife came with me.
But your wife right now?
Yes.
So that means you stayed together?
Yes.
Hey.
That saved my marriage. She says she loves me often, which she never did before that.
Wow. So I got one more question for you. If you could estimate, how many times in your life have you ever taken psychedelics?
I drink every time I host a ceremony.
Right.
But I drink less. Yeah.
So then what's the...
150 times, I guess.
150 times?
Is that a lot?
I don't know. If that's a lot, please subscribe. Is that a lot? Comment below. I don't know. Thank you, Felix.
Thank you. That was a pleasure.
Awesome. We are here with...
So I'm Sagan. I facilitate 5-MeO DMT experiences. Speaking about 5-MeO, my first deep experience with 5-MeO was finding this core of unconditional love. It was kind of this feeling of all of these layers of my ego and myself being sort of progressively peeled away.
And what in your life changed from this experience?
Feeling more grounded, feeling more at home in the world, less like I have to perform.
If you could estimate, how many psychedelic journeys have you had?
Yeah, so this is a hard one to estimate, but I'm going to guess in the ballpark of around 200.
Nice. Yeah. Do you feel like it's possible to take too much psychedelics?
You have to ask me in another 30 years whether there's too much, but so far it's been a huge ally for me.
Thank you, bro.
Yeah, thank you.
The conference has been amazing so far. Boothing for Maps Canada, making new friends, buying some interesting stuff. But I want to talk to some of the pioneers of the psychedelic movement. That's when I saw none other than Wade Davis, the internationally renowned Harvard-trained anthropologist, best-selling author, and old-school psychedelic advocate.
Now,
the journey really begins.
Awesome. We are here with none other than Wade Davis. Hello, Wade.
Hi, how are you?
So I'd like to ask you, what was your most transformative experience that you've ever had under psychedelics?
In 1975, Tim Plowman and I found a new species of what was then called Trichocereus San Pedro on the Bolivian plateau. We had been on the road almost a year and a half together, and we were going our separate ways. And so just before we did, on a beach south of Lima, we took a really heroic dose of this new species. We're up for 48 hours.
Wow.
And there was one moment when Tim just took flight, and there we were. We could feel feathers coming out of our skin, and we flew over all the Nazca lines and realized exactly how and why they were built. We had a collective vision of flight. We're soaring over the desert like one person. And then I just watched him take off like Icarus towards the sun. And next thing I know, I was sitting on the desert sand with our dog Pogo, and Tim was kind of in a heap 100 yards away. And I said to him, I saw you went to the sun. And I knew right then he was going to die. And he would die as a young man, which is what prompted me to write the book One River in his memory.
Wow. So what kind of impact did this experience have on you?
I think that that's why I think San Pedro is such a useful substance. I've taken ayahuasca many times in ritual context. I've personally never found it useful. It's something, to my mind, to be endured, and I think people feel great afterwards simply because they've survived. Whereas when I take San Pedro, and I've taken it many times, I've never had anything but a revelatory, affirming experience, always connected to my appreciation of the natural world.
Wow.
Okay, is that
amazing? That's
okay,
awesome.
Great.
Wow, thank you so much.
Take care.
So I actually didn't ask Wade the big question, but knowing that he has extensive use of San Pedro and ayahuasca over his long life, it's likely that he's had at least 300 ceremonies. 300 might sound like a lot, but this next person takes it to a new level. This next speaker is none other than Dennis McKenna.
I'm very pleased today to have Dr. Dennis McKenna.
Great to see you.
Dennis McKenna is a prolific author alongside his late brother Terrence McKenna and spent over 40 years studying Amazonian plant hallucinogens, including ayahuasca. Dennis McKenna, thank you for taking some time to chat. I'm curious, Dennis, if you could share with us your most powerful transformational experience with a psychedelic in your life.
If you're familiar with the McKenna brothers myth about the experiment at La Chirera and all that, which my brother's book True Hallucinations is largely about, we went to South America in 1971 looking for this obscure hallucinogen that 10 years later I ended up working on. But what we encountered when we finally got to the place that we were going, La Chirera, was psilocybin mushrooms, which were everywhere. We had no experience with them, but they quickly rearranged our priorities. I guess that's continued ever since. So sort of as far as the trajectory of our lives, that was a pivotal event.
If you had any advice for people like me who are very young and like new to the psychedelic scene and starting to explore these things and get curious, what would you recommend?
Approach them thoughtfully, inform yourself. If you do your best to ensure that your setting is safe and appropriate, medicine is pure, then you just have to basically be ready to surrender to whatever happens. If you approach it with a little bit of common sense, that's really all that is called for.
If you could estimate in your lifetime, how many times have you consumed psychedelics?
I've been at this for 50 years, so, or longer. I got interested in psychedelics in the mid-60s. I was a child of the 60s. I've probably had more experience, maybe an equal amount of experience with mushrooms and ayahuasca. Ayahuasca's been kind of my main medicine for many years. I've probably taken, well over 1,000 times.
Wow.
Mushrooms, somewhat less, but a lot.
Thank you. And I gotta say, I guess in Western society, there isn't much reverence of elders, but in the psychedelic space, you're very much an elder. So thank you.
I know this every day. I'm getting older every day. Yeah.
So thank you.
Okay, well, thanks for asking.
Awesome. It was an honor getting to speak with all these amazing people. And if you've watched this far, you might as well subscribe. And that's the end.